Frustrating for us because we've been lied to.
I think the Cowboys' biggest problem will die soon. So there is that.
Man, you out of your mind. He's worse than Jared. I'm gonna tell y'all something right now.
Against Washington, Desmond Bishop had just got a pick, and that nigga took it like 80 yards. He got caught, but I knew that nigga was tired as So I'm like, damn, I want to run down there and celebrate winning, but I'm like, damn, that shit is hella far. So I'm like, nah, that, blood, I ain't. So I'm like, oh, shit, quick decision. I jumped in the thing, fired the chip. And as I was driving down there to go pick him up, all the people started running on the field and shit. So then it was like, oh, they done f***ed it up. So now, my driving instincts kick in. It's like, now I gotta get this motherfucker back. And then it was like, on the way back, I just slide this as far as long as I can before they come and try to kick me up off this motherfucker. But
what the Rock is cooking.
Recording live from count them, 3 locations. This is Pass the Rock. I'm Patrick. I forgot where my camera was. And as always, I'm joined by 2 great men. Caesar, a.k.a. LCs.
I'm proud to tell the folks at home I don't own a single bottle of baby oil. So we're aware.
And Jacob, a.k.a. Bethke.
I don't feel like I have to address what oils I keep in my pantries and what I do not keep in my pantries.
That's fair.
That was probably the wrong button, but I had to play something.
No, that's perfect. Leave it in there.
Yeah, so we're back. It's another week of a lot of football. But before we get to that, there are some actual playoffs happening in the world of sports right now. So for a quick dive into what's gonna transpire in the next week of the WNBA, let's pass this thing on to Jacob.
Yeah, and we're going to have more playoffs as this one goes and progresses into the baseball season. Our team won't be there, but other people's will. And biasly, depending on how that goes, we will cover it or not. Essentially, if the Astros do well, might not mention it. I think we've done that at least one time. They've won a championship since we've been here and doing this, right?
I think so.
We didn't acknowledge it, though, I think. So it's not canon to this podcast, actually.
I should say I have been working on it's going to be a couple of parts of a Rangers end-of-year thing. We still got 5 more games to go before I can have all the full numbers and everything to really finish it and tighten it up. But, yeah, it'll probably be a small, like 3 or 4 part thing, shorter videos, but I don't know how much I'll follow the playoffs at this point with hockey and basketball starting. We'll see.
I think we'll ease into the basketball, the men's basketball for sure. So that'll give us a little time to bury the Rangers, maybe celebrate. The nice thing about baseball is at least this year you're going to have a lot of the bigger name franchises in the playoffs. So that's kind of fun for ESPN or whoever cares. I think for me, I do like Dodgers, Yankees being competitive.
Nice to have Ohtani. Yeah, nice to have Ohtani in the playoffs. We'll say that.
It's good branding too.
We've literally never seen that. So
yes. Ohtani's nice. The Dodgers, you got to have the Dodgers there. It feels so beautiful. It feels like baseball. They don't have to win. I just want them to be in the playoffs. Yankees, same thing. They don't need to win, but it's nice to have them there because it'd be less fun without them.
Well, at this point, they're not my least favorite option. So
yeah, and unfortunately, somebody from this division had to go. So I respect that Houston is going to be the one team, and I'm laughing that the Mariners aren't going to be there at all. I don't think, right?
No, probably not.
Yeah.
I think they still could, but I don't think they will.
Well, we were right about one thing. The Mariners are definitely going to let the division be won. But anyway. The WNBA. We're going to do this pretty quickly because pretty much nothing has gone by that we hadn't predicted already. It's been a pretty chalk start to the playoffs. Sunday was all 4 series got started. We already have 2 that concluded last night. We have 2 more that can conclude tonight. Obviously, that's because it's a 3-game series, so margin for error is none. I don't think that both of these tonight definitely have a chance to go 3. We kind of felt like it was a good chance that these first two were going to go the way they did. New York Liberty, they've been the favorites all year. They lost the title last year. They got better. They have to be considered the favorites. They've been consistently the favorites. They pretty much handed Atlanta 2 decisive losses. But I will say for the Atlanta Dream, a team that I said kind of fumbled their way into the playoffs and didn't necessarily look like they deserved it. They showed a lot of life, and I think there's more of a future for them. So as a Dallas Wings fan, I appreciate that their franchise had a down year and still made something of it, whereas the other one did not and may be getting worse as a result. So the Liberty have advanced to the semifinals, and then Vegas and Seattle has concluded as well. Seattle was going to be a really nice restart program this year, something that basically they took a couple of all-stars from bad teams last year, put them on a team with 2 all-stars this year, gave them some talent. They were supposed to be potentially one of the dynasties or potential juggernaut teams. They were a little thin, a little old, didn't quite materialize all throughout the season. So this was kind of obvious, even though they both of their games were really tight, competitive, and we expect to see the Storm back next year. The 2-time defending champion Aces handled their business, and then that sets us up for a semifinal, which is a rematch of last year's championship and the year before that's championship. Unfortunately, there's not 2 sides of the bracket here. It's just the best of 8 or the best 8 out of the 12 teams. So we're going to get Liberty Aces rematch in the semifinals, not in the finals. They're trying to figure this league out. They're doing the best they can. I think it would have been a little nicer to figure out a way to fix the bracket, but you can't do that. Minnesota has a lead over Phoenix. The Mercury, actually that game ended 102-95. So talk about the change in women's basketball. Look at that kind of score in a competitive playoff game is impressive. The Lynx are incredible. Nafisa Collier is incredible. Tonight, I think that one's got a pretty good chance of getting closed out for sure. The Mercury have Diana Taurasi. Could be the last time she ever plays professional basketball again, at least on the WNBA stage. That's something to note. But yeah, they're a team that's not quite built perfectly either, sort of the same way Seattle is. I do expect Minnesota to handle that series, even if it takes them going to Phoenix to finish it out in the 3rd game, which would be Friday. But the game that's actually happening as we're recording is the 2nd game to Connecticut and the Indiana Fever, the most talked about WNBA team of all time, I guess, at this point. The Indiana Fever, Caitlin Clark, defensively, they got stymied throughout the whole game. It looks like it's off to a much more competitive start. Obviously, I've been talking into a microphone instead of watching, so I can't tell you how much better it looks, but they are up 13-4 early. Caitlin Clark's kind of basically perfect from the field. They're going to need her to be great if they're just going to extend this to Indiana. Connecticut is an overwhelming defensive team, but they are not elite offensively. They made a midseason trade to attempt to be that. I don't think they quite got there. So I do think Indiana has a little bit of upset special kind of stuff going on. But I think even if they finish out today in Connecticut, I think they're going to end up probably losing in Indiana in the game 3. And that would end up meaning the winner of those 2 series will be the other side of the bracket. And we'll get to that next week, which honestly, how fast this is going to go, it's a 5-game series then. It's basically going to blow by. The only other thing I wanted to note before we move on, reset timeouts. I forgot this was a thing, and it's something I think you guys are going to want to look at for basketball in the future. In the WNBA this year, they're getting 5 regular timeouts and 1 reset timeout. My hope is that this works so well that in the future we can do 4 and 2 or however it's needed. Basically, a reset timeout. You're not allowed to huddle.
So it won't take a TV break.
Exactly, but you can reset the ball. I think this could be an asset to all basketball, frankly. I think nobody, even the most diehard basketball fan, as I point over to the just incredible amount of books that you can see and then all the ones off screen you can't. I think we can all agree the last 5 minutes of the first half and the last 5 minutes of the end of a basketball game can feel like forever. So the goal I really think there is to find solutions that work. The W is a good place to kind of see how this goes. Then we can translate it into the G League, the NBA, however, and maybe that'll
I can't imagine the NBA would ever want to do anything that would not give them more ab breaks.
That is a good point. I also think that there are going to be certain players that would lobby against this, especially in the playoffs. So maybe this is something you could do in the regular season.
Definitely
but I think
preseason. Absolutely.
Definitely preseason. I think that LeBron especially especially while he's still playing at his advanced age, I would expect him because
he wants that 30 seconds.
I've heard him talk about it too much for me not to think that he would go down easy on that one. For sure. Maybe once he's an owner LeBron, actual official GM, when it's not his problem anymore potentially. But no, I think as a player, there's no way.
Legit.
But that's the W. Now we're going to move into college foosball. Do we change the platform here? You got, hell yeah, CTE ball, brother. You put my sad Cowboy fan up there. Do we not have a college football graphic?
We should.
Oh, sorry, 1 second. I did not immediately make one, so we're going to run with this guy for right now.
Okay, fair enough. We're
former Miami football star, The Rock.
Closer to the right place for sure. Fandom similar in a lot of ways. We had a fun college football season. I actually will go or week rather.
Let me know if this blows y'all's ears out. I don't know if y'all can even hear it.
Sounds
yes, good. No, it sounds perfect. We're in week 4. This is getting closer to having competitive, awesome games. We've got multiple top 25 games now. We'll have more of those as we go, something we do expect. But there was mostly not anything too crazy coming out of this. Actually, I think some of the craziest stuff that came out of this week was maybe from some of the lower teams that we don't necessarily talk about a lot. Now, we are obviously hooking in a little bit here, but I am going to have to refrain and say that a win against UL Monroe is amazing. Arch Manning
wins a win.
Looked good.
Didn't lose it.
We'll do it. Actually, yeah, let's do it a little bit here. I don't want to go too far into the nitty gritty because it was kind of a meaningless game all in all.
No, you're good. I just wanted to make sure that was the first one on the playlist. There's plenty of other fight songs that we'll hear. You don't have to make it relevant to the one we're listening to.
I'll give you a setup. I have Meanest Greenest 4 already up if you want to get that queued and ready. I
don't have UNT ready to go. They were not in the SEC YouTube fight song playlist.
No, on our YouTube. Go to our YouTube channel and pull up Mean Green 4 for me, and we'll do Texas first while you're doing that. So some of my things, if you guys want to go and you can. Great reps for Arch. Doing too much interception, you got to learn from those. And you got to learn ball placement, tip drill. You got to learn how to take that on the chest. So both interceptions I thought are fun learning lessons. I do, obviously think this is exactly my point of why I'm happier to see Quinn Ewers be the starter if possible. But really not awful interceptions. They were just growing up things.
It's going to happen, and we saw plenty of every other quarterbacks do this too.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fine. It's great. He bounces right back.
There's a lot to like about Arch Manning for sure.
And there was worse QB performances from other highly touted recruits out there this past week.
Absolutely. I thought the Texas defense looked really nice. It looked like it's building confidence. I think this is what matters more than Arch, Quinn. Maybe not the third thing I want to bring up, but I think that for the most part, Texas's defense being crazy talented, like stocked up, like in 4 or 5 years, we're going to look at this group and be like, holy fuck, NFL player, at least NFL starter. Right. I don't know about all pros and stuff. But essentially, all of these dudes should be playing on Sunday at some level, even at special teams. And that's pretty incredible as it is. Again, it's UL Monroe. You're playing General Booty. It's not like you're talking about the greatest team ever. But
maybe the best QB name ever?
We even knocked General Booty out of the game.
Yeah, and I'm really happy. That's what I mean. They played mean, ferociously, and they had fun. And that's what defenses need to do when they're that overmatched against the offense, in my opinion.
They smacked that booty, man.
My final point with this group, the running game. I don't believe this game. I don't think it's a good one to use. Blue looked great. The stable of the white kid looks fun when he comes out there sometimes. The number 9 is monster. How big is number 9? The running back. Is he Brandon Jacobs big? Because he looks big as shit when he runs.
1 sec.
So that's
Running back.
That's still something I'm going to look at. And I mean, obviously, the offensive line also has its fair share of NFL prospects on it, which is a good thing to have.
You're talking about Gibson? Gibson's only 5'10", 205.
Okay, he's a big dude, though. I don't care. He looks big as shit when he's out there. So I like Gibson. I'm trying to see how he ends up growing. But, I mean, hey, it's UL Monroe. Can't take too much from it.
So our 3 overall, we've played the University of Louisiana Monroe 3 times now. The first one I was actually at my first game to go to, 2009. We won 59-20. Colt McCoy.
Nice.
Then, not Colt McCoy. Yeah, Colt McCoy.
2009?
Yeah, sorry. 2022, 52-10. Sarkeesian's, was that his first year? I think so.
Probably.
And then this year, 51-3, which is now our best win against them.
Well, there you go. That's getting better.
ULM has played 1 bowl game in their history, and they are 0-1. But they've had 129 NFL. Sorry, they've had 7 NFL draft picks, which ranks them 129th.
When you said 129, I'm like, damn, if they can produce
Football
talent.
Factory.
Damn.
If you got 1 a year, you'd be up to around 100 something by now. Anyways, yeah, like you said, it's not the best opponent, but it's also a good sign when you do what you're supposed to against those opponents.
Exactly. All right. Well, that's the Texas Longhorns. We'll get to the next week's slate in a bit. For now, we just need to quickly say our weekly prayer to the mean green gods with this week's Meanest Greenest. Patrick, if you have that queued up, you can go to it at any point. I don't have any talking points about this game. I illustrate my love through art.
What you see is what you get, and you ain't seen nothing yet. What you see is what you get, and you ain't seen nothing yet. Just that I love you right from the very start. Don't you make me sorry, girl, that opened up my heart. I know that I'm no angel. This ain't my first time. You can count on what I got. 'Cause what I got.
White boy running back.
What you see is what you get, and you ain't seen nothing yet. What you see is what you get, and you ain't seen nothing yet. When it's cold, I want it hot. I'm always wanting what is not. But when it comes to loving you, I'm yours no matter what you do. I'm living on your man. This is more than me. You're not too skinny, not too fat. Loving you is what you see is what you get, and you ain't seen nothing yet. What you see is what you get, and you ain't seen nothing yet. What you see is what you get. Do you believe in the mean green?
Beautiful.
We do.
The Mean Green. It was a good win. It was a good get-right game against Wyoming. Tune-up game before the AAC conference play begins for the Mighty Mean Green. Look, you're going to hear Pugnets talk about how the Mean Green don't have a shot at the college football playoff, but we're not going to listen to that. We're going to take one game at a time. The American Athletic Conference is the only thing that matters right now.
Listen, if UNLV can get into the conversation about the college football playoff,
That's a fucking sentence.
so can we. So can we. And
Exactly.
the last time I checked, the last time the UNT Mean Green played the UNLV Rebels, we whipped that ass at the Cotton Bowl 11 years ago.
Look,
Okay. Hey, they're
we're
losing all their players, so
returning to form. We have Kansas State transfer running backs. This is a different program now. This is the evolution of the Meanest Greenest. We may not be playing defense, but you don't need defense to win a bunch of games in college football, especially in the American Athletic Conference. You might need defense to actually get people to put us into that playoff, but we'll get there. We'll get there. We need to put our best foot forward.
Best defense is a great offense, and that's what we got.
Exactly.
When we're not playing average defenses from the Big 12.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get into the Mean Green's next opponent on their path to the college football playoff. But let's get into a quick recap of some of the games that
we did kind of move through Texas without mentioning. We do get our. Oh, I see it. Never mind. I'm an idiot. I can read a rundown. I promise.
We will talk about the next time Texas plays, and that's where we can bring that up for sure. First game of the weekend would have been Illinois-Nebraska on Friday night. That was a 24 game, Illinois. Patrick Mahomes Jr. looked pretty good if you go stat line only. 24 of 35, 297, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Dylan Raiola, I think.
Okay.
But the most notable stat, unfortunately for this young man, was the 7 rushes for negative 52 yards. Most of those came in one possession, and that possession was in the overtime period of this football game. First of all, he overthrew a touchdown with about 3 minutes left in regulation. Not ideal, but it happens. He's a true freshman. Can't be mad at that. Unfortunately, the true freshman came back to bite himself even worse, as his hero ball antics basically took them from starting at the 20, as you would for the college football overtime system. And I think they ended up running a 4th and 38 play because basically 3 straight times Dylan Raiola tried to do his best Patrick Mahomes, Michael Vick impression, only to be gobbled up by grown men way bigger, faster, and stronger than him. Look, that's how it happens. You get gobbled up by grown men if you play football. This is a part of the game.
You should expect it, honestly.
So that's what happened there. Illinois Fighting Illini, Brett Bielema. Shout out to them. They're still good. They're still cruising, and they're in a conference where they can really fuck up somebody's day. So keep an eye on Illinois. North Carolina State, Clemson. Dabo watch. We have to keep moving. They throttled the fucking shit out of NC State. NC State was a top 25 team to start the season. Does not look like they will come close to doing that again this season. Florida, Mississippi State, must-win game for Billy Napier. Pretty much was a belt-to-ass whooping to start. 28-7 Florida. Unfortunately, Florida gave that entire lead up almost. Only to get about 2 or 3 garbage time touchdowns to make that one look a lot more convincing than it was. So Florida still on suicide watch. USC, Michigan, Lincoln Riley went to the big house. Texas could do it. Why couldn't USC? USC is supposed to be everything they need to be this year. This is their conference rival now. They're number 11. Michigan's number 18 coming into this. Unfortunately, all Michigan needed was a quarterback go 7 for 12 for 32 yards passing to beat the mighty, mighty men of Troy.
Whew, boy. I saw that stat line and I was like, there's no way. And then I saw his rushing numbers. I'm like, well, did he at least run for like 100 yards? I'm like, he didn't even do that.
No, it wasn't a very dominant day offensively for Michigan, but you run the ball, you play defense, which is something Michigan can still do at a very high level. You got a good chance to win some games, especially some ugly ones. USC really had a chance. I mean, they literally had a chance driving the field as the game expired, but you got Michigan just being too big, too fast, too strong.
Yeah, that's a stingy defense, man. And they had their way at the end. I just gotta know what Michigan does from here on out, because they clearly don't have a quarterback who can operate like a modern offense, like
smash mouth football. I mean,
start running the wishbone, I guess.
They have a staple of running backs. They have a great NFL caliber offensive line, to some whatever extent that you can in the college game. I think that there's no reason to think Michigan won't be deadly, but it's obvious why Texas was able to beat them fairly well, because Texas has pretty much everything going for it, right? as far as we can tell. Ohio State is probably going to have that. Penn State might have that. Michigan's going to keep seeing this. Ultimately, the biggest lesson here was that USC did not defensively have what it took to win this game. Though they got close, you got to give Lincoln Riley a little credit here. This looked more convincing than any other Lincoln Riley team I've ever seen play defense. At the same time, they couldn't stop them from just basically running it down the middle kind of thing, just bullying them up. And that's the biggest problem with USC and why people don't think that there's any way that they're still up at that top level competing with SEC schools. The Unk Bowl, Utah, Oklahoma State, didn't go down as planned, guys. Cam Rising did not play in this game. You know who did? Zach Wilson's little brother. He played starting quarterback for Utah, helped them win the game 22-19. It was pretty much a dominant win for Utah throughout. However, basically Oklahoma State just went nutso in the fourth quarter and ran out of time. It's similar to another Cowboys team, actually, now that I think about it, where it was basically a dominant game on the other side of things. Score doesn't look like it because the fourth quarter was one team just going balls to the walls.
Do we know why the Utah quarterback didn't play?
I don't know. He was a game time decision, and then they ended up not starting him.
Okay.
He needed a soak.
Yeah, he's brittle bones.
I thought that was more of a BYU thing instead of a Utah.
He got to get he had to go get some.
There's only so many
icy hot.
QB jobs and lots of Mormons. Real quick, when I pulled myself out, did the music stop for y'all?
I'm not sure.
Remember?
I'm not sure actually.
Let's just learn on the fly here.
We're gonna learn.
I don't think that.
It definitely did shut off. Yeah,
that's too bad.
TCU, SMU, the Iron Skillet. We talked about how this was a great chance for TCU to put themselves on display for the national audience, and they did technically, not in the way that they wanted. Not in the way they wanted. Sonny Dykes got humiliated and tossed in this game as his return to one of his return. I think he's already gone at least one time, right? 2 times maybe. He's been coach at TCU for a second now. Either way, he's been back to SMU a few times. This one's definitely the worst one he'll probably ever remember. Basically, you're talking about a fumble recovery on a 4th and inches. You're talking about a punt return. And this is 4th and inches when TCU is driving to start the game. You're talking about a punt return right on the start of things. So you're already just 2 big fuck ups into the hole against a kind of confident home team in SMU. TCU manages to make this game 24-21. Then the second quarter happens, and before you know it, it's 38-21 at halftime. This one finishes 66-42. Holy shit, SMU beats the absolute brakes off of TCU in a pretty stunning fashion, I would say, considering we knew that SMU wasn't that bad, but we definitely didn't think a quarterback fix was going to be all it would be, and Jennings wasn't even that lights out. But the confidence of a QB can do wonders for a football team.
Absolutely, dude. No, that when I tuned in to see the score, and when I saw what happened in the second quarter, I was like, Jesus Christ, this is peak Big 12. Except SMU's not in the Big 12, but hey,
they want
the spirit of the Big 12. Yeah, the spirit of the Big 12 was with them that day.
Yeah,
all offense, no defense.
Yeah, no, I mean. It's beautiful, 66-21. You got a little special teams mixed in, so it was beautiful. The other side of things, a game that everyone hyped up, but was probably the ugliest football game of the week, Cal Florida State. This is a 14-9 victory for Florida State, the first of the season. If you guys haven't heard, they've been needing one of those. The Cal Bears were undefeated. Then they've come down to earth now. This is their first ACC game, I think.
Yes.
Yeah,
I want to say it was.
I think it was their first one.
That was rough, man. That was an ugly game. Like the whole time I was holding on to hope. I'm like, all right, come on, Cal. You're playing one of the worst teams in the nation. Like it's just they've been playing like
they're a talented team, but they have been playing like the worst team.
They've been playing way below their talent level. And I'm like, come on, Cal. Just show them what this woke agenda is all about. Keep the memes coming. And then it's just it came to a grinding halt. And it's like, all right, well, now it's just not going to be as fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was an ugly ass game. I was thankfully busy on Saturday night. So when I got back to just watching this one, I could quickly move through it. But had I spent the full 3 hours with it, that would have fucking been awful. Very happy that worked out in my favor. Moving into the biggest game of the week, Tennessee OU. This was a great chance for Tennessee to really prove that they're truly one of the top teams in the country, that this offense that is just blowing everybody out of the water is for real. Oklahoma not playing its best football this season, but still a very competent, talented program. Final score is 25-15 Tennessee. That looks better than what happened. Another one of these games where it was quite manhandled until some late scores. The biggest note here, other than Tennessee and Josh Heupel getting his I guess not really revenge. They basically celebrated the man and then he beat him, which is kind of funny. But the fact that the Oklahoma Sooners have now moved on from their starting quarterback and are choosing to put him on the bench at least for a little bit. This is coming 2 weeks before Texas officially. I think that's pretty notable. This has definitely been a tactic that a bad Oklahoma team has used against Texas before. You don't have as much scouting. It's a little bit more of a wild card when you bring in a new quarterback, for better or worse. Sometimes it can blow up in your face as well. But it is something that potentially could help them. He looked a little bit better than Arnold. I don't know that he will be. I don't even know. I didn't even catch the kid's name, but
Michael Hawkins Jr. He's actually a local kid. Played
really?
in Dallas. Yeah.
I mean, that's not surprising with being a Sooner. What school?
Frisco Emerson. Okay, it has him listed as being from Dallas, Texas, but I guess it's one of those things.
He probably moved here for football.
Yeah, probably moved to Frisco for football.
I see. Oh, I love that.
Probably 3-star recruit is what I'm getting.
But yeah, so Tennessee handled business. Oklahoma takes an L. What will we have to look forward to with Oklahoma? We're still TBD, but Tennessee passes the test and continues to be a contender.
I'm worried that Oklahoma bottomed out too soon.
Yeah, I mean, you should. Texas, Oklahoma is a tough one.
That defense looks ridiculous.
They look like they're keeping them competent, and Brent Venables is going to keep his job because of the defensive stuff. I agree with that.
Seth Luttrell, we'll see, but yeah.
Yeah. Michigan State, BC. I highlighted this one because I'm interested in both of these teams. Billy O continues his quest for the playoff and an ACC championship. They won 23-19. Sparty kind of just settled for too many field goals. Stop me if you've ever heard that one before. Michigan State, basically the Jason Garrett offense of college football. But either way, Sparty ended up losing this one. They have a big test coming up this week. We'll be excited to see it. Like I said, continue to look at Boston College. They're a very, very interesting playoff contender here. Ooh, I didn't grab a highlight video. So, Patrick, if you absolutely think the people need to see it, I definitely think we'll talk for a little bit about this one. My final game that we highlighted last week that we need to get to before some of the other quick recaps. We've got Baylor, Colorado.
Which highlight do you want?
Well, that's the question. There's a lot there. I mean, the Hail Mary is pretty incredible. I think that if you've ever seen a Hail Mary, you've seen a billion of them. The only thing I think is interesting about the Hail Mary is that Shedeur is just basically a millisecond from fumble loss at that point, and gets that thing off. So I think that's the most impressive part. But basically, Baylor went up 31-24, 6 minutes left. Baylor back-to-back sacks the Buffaloes, gives the Bears starting position at the 27. They run the clock, you punch it in, you call it a day. Baylor, it's over, right? That's how the game should have gone. What did happen? They tried to do what I said. They settled for a field goal, and he missed it. Not great. But don't worry, because now Shedeur Sanders and the roller coaster that is that offense has to do a 2-minute drill. And I've seen a lot of 2-minute drills in my life. I don't know if you guys have. I'm sure Caesar especially has tried to do this as much as anybody. There are some pretty ones. Caesar actually just saw one against his own team the other day. really nice one. Not to bring that up. It's just it was really a good example.
No, exactly.
I would not consider Shedeur Sanders' successful 2-minute drill this game to be one of the best examples, but it got the job done.
Anytime there's a Hail Mary involved, your 2-minute drill didn't go to plan.
But it worked, and that's the beauty of Shedeur Sanders, I think, in some ways.
So he's the next Tim Tebow?
Honestly, I mean, that you could probably you could probably go there. There's probably something there.
You want to see the Hail Mary?
Yes, if you got the Hail Mary.
I picked an alternate angle.
Oh, that's a good one. Stuck with it. So it's worth noting that the Buffs punch it in overtime. It's worth noting that Baylor could have done the same.
Game was over.
Yeah, it's also worth noting that that Baylor, could have easily punched it in. Instead, Travis Hunter punched the ball out.
Well,
literally,
they had like a 40-minute break, so they had to clear the field. So
there was a long period there. There was a long period. Plays under review, ends up, being obviously a fumble recovered by Colorado, end of game. But quite the ending for the college football night, actually, too, because I think that was one of the later games. Probably not the latest, but definitely on the later slate. Probably one of the last kickoffs.
Oh, I forgot to mention, we were talking about Oklahoma, something I learned. They had that the fumble, the backwards pass.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember who it was. Someone on the radio was saying they talked to a ref, and it's like, it's not like, I think the way I've always thought about it and the way most people have thought about it is like, is it a backwards pass or not? But really the rule is it a forwards pass or not? Because if it's even like completely level, they consider that a backward, like it's not a forwards pass. So it's still a fumble. Even if it's a complete even lateral, that's a fumble.
Just in college or?
No, I think that works in the NFL that way too. I think that's just the way, I think that's the way the refs are taught it and we interpret it differently. Because obviously it's almost never a complete lateral, but
right.
I just thought that was interesting, and that was one where I was a little surprised that happened, and that really screwed him over.
Mm. Yeah, no, I mean that is an interesting point. It's one of the few things I think it comes up so rarely that we don't think about the nuance and how important it is. It's not like holding, right, where the nuance is every play.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, right. Where it's like, yes, this is a nuanced issue, but this one is so hard to officiate. It's traveling.
I don't know why they don't just make them all wear like the base stealing gloves.
Just bowling pin each other.
And they should have like some kind of bumper on right there, but
we'll see how advancement goes. But yeah, no, that's very interesting and informative to the audience. Anything else from that first slate before I get to some of the other things that caught my eye?
No, I think you're good to go on this one.
Yeah, I think we're fine. I won't be surprised if USC and Michigan are almost in the exact same spots, maybe just flipped ranking wise. I think everyone's still confused as what any of them are.
And it's also very important to note that USC is so still alive. It's not even funny. Because they play basically everybody who's in front of them to get into the college football playoffs. So they just literally have to win games still. So it's kind of fun. That's why I like this college football season. I think it's reinvigorated me because, I think giving college students more, leeway isn't the worst situation in the world for us to see the best teams compete at the end of the season. I think. We'll still see.
I mean,
especially with how big they expanded.
Yeah, it's wild west, and if it can ever get pulled back, we'll see maybe. But
and of course, there's a story that will start our what to watch for in week 5 that maybe is a bad sign, but we'll get to that. Other week 4 things that I was interested in. Our old coach Mack Brown got fucking throttled by James Madison. Said that he would have quit if I forgot. Said something about he would quit.
He offered to step down.
But then that was just him being Mac. He probably will need to step down at the end of the season, but I think they'll probably let him finish this one out. But he did nice in his second stint. It didn't last super long, but I don't think anyone should have expected it to last.
No, but
go ahead.
I was gonna say he did do them a favor. He brought some national relevance to
absolutely
to their football program.
My point.
I mean,
And I
brought in
think he
NFL
healed-
talent, like legitimate NFL talent, people that are starting in the NFL. Like he showed the program that hey, you're not just a basketball school; you can do football.
And I think he healed himself a little bit because I think when he was on TV, it was pretty clear that he, right or wrong, took a lot of the shit for Texas falling so hard on its face, right? And I think that maybe he's right. And as much as he beats himself up for it, it feels like maybe that he was a little more responsible than we realized in the moment. But I think this was a good way for him to clean that legacy up and remember that he is one of the greatest college football coaches of all time. Maybe not at the top tier, but he'll be in the Hall of Fame and all that good shit. Or is he? He's already in the Hall of Fame, right?
I have no idea, but he won a title at Texas, and that's everything to me. So
Yeah, that's fair. And he was really successful at Texas for
he
a very long time.
almost got two, yeah. And 2008, if the BCS isn't like a fucking just a wild cover your eyes and throw a dart to see who we give the Big 12 to, then
yeah. Well, I also
Mack Brown is a Hall of Famer.
okay,
he is already.
It makes sense.
Kansas, West Virginia had a weather delay. 10 minutes left into the game. It was 21-17 at the time. Kansas was driving. They were at a 3rd and 2 at the West Virginia 46 when they stopped the game. West Virginia ends up winning this one 32-28 with the game-winning touchdown less than 10 seconds into this one. Nothing too notable other than Kansas officially done. Kansas done. Did not live up to it at all this year. Sorry, guys. Regroup. It'll be okay. This especially, I think, stung for Kansas because it was like you're winning, you have 10 minutes left, you're driving, and then all of a sudden, all the momentum in the world stops and goes against you.
Is Kansas winless on the season right now?
No, I think they've got at least one win, but yeah, it might just be the one. Not a great start to the season. We had the safety of the year, I think, in college football and maybe all of football, really. Virginia Tech and Rutgers played this week. I definitely didn't think this would be a game that I would ever be needing to bring into y'all's attention. But, of course, this happened. Did it happen?
It's happening in silence.
Oh, and
it is happening in silence. Can we be heard?
Yeah, which is weird because it normally doesn't work that way.
Well, I muted this when I clipped it, so that's fair.
Oh, smart.
This is what I didn't realize until now is that he actually
gets
got
run
stepped
into
on.
and stepped on. Yeah.
And then his brain goes, you know what I should do?
Chuck this fucker.
Yoink this motherfucker out.
I don't know. Yeah, we saw Will Levis throw a really terrible interception earlier this year where you're like, that is just something you don't do ever. Not even when you're like, maybe in like Pop Warner or whatever, but
Let's reset the PlayStation worthy.
By the time you get to middle school as an actual human being, you shouldn't be making those kind of throws, and that was one of them.
So true. Yeah, that was tough. Credit to Virginia Tech. It's a tough go right now for the Hokies, but they did get back into that game. Ended up being a 26-23 loss. I believe they missed a field goal at the end of the game to lose that or to not send it to overtime.
Something like that. It's a sad state of affair for Virginia Tech because when we were kids, that was a program that was,
Yeah, but it was kind of a built up. It was, I think, more or less what Clemson was, a lesser version. Dabo got Clemson to the mountaintop. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
But essentially, it's the same kind of program where it has a lot of history and notoriety. But really, Frank Beamer is just very consistent for a long time.
Yeah, and of course, you had the Mike Vick years, the Tyrod Taylor.
Vic and Tyrod by themselves.
And then there was another guy somewhere in between that. He didn't reach the NFL, I don't think, but he definitely had like his moments during that. I know they tried to make Marcus Vick a thing, and that just didn't play.
Eventually they did the Case McCoy thing too. But it happens. You live and you learn. Frank Beamer. His son is doing pretty well in SCAR right now, so we'll see if Beamer ball keeps working. Okay. Battle of the Undefeateds, Navy-Memphis. I know y'all didn't think Navy-Memphis would come up, but I'm bringing Navy to your attention because I want you guys to think about the college football playoff and the fun that can be. What if Navy makes the college football playoff? I'm just saying. So this was a 56-44 win. Memphis is a big-time offense. Clearly, neither of these programs much at defense. If you're familiar with Navy, yes, there's not a lot of passing going on here. It's a very simplistic offense, but they've got a hell of a quarterback. Memphis recovered an onside kick when it was 49-44. Essentially, this game had been put to bed. Memphis scores quickly, gets the onside kick. They're driving. A pick six seals the game for Navy. So Navy did not come away from this one looking perfect, but they won. They've got the guy who could be like one of the also guys who sneaks into the Heisman candidacy if it's a down year as a quarterback. So I'm just saying.
Honestly, for him not to win it, but just to get to be a finalist might be easier because just the story of having the guy from Navy.
I mean, he's probably going to put, like, I don't know what the rushing records are for quarterbacks specifically or if they even separate it like that, but the guy's probably going to have a good chance to touch those records. And if it's a year where there's not enough clear guys, I don't know who the Heisman would be exactly at this
he
moment.
He currently already has, I think, the all-time career rushing record.
Yeah. Horvath?
Keenan Reynolds of Navy holds the record.
No, Keenan Reynolds was the old. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So Keenan Reynolds, this is his replacement. Keenan Reynolds has already moved on.
Okay.
Yeah. I think Keenan Reynolds ended up being a running back for the Ravens for a little bit in pros, but then I don't think that lasted. But yeah, so that's just the interesting thing there. If you're wanting to bet on some goofy team that I think has a little bit of fun in them and maybe has a path to sneaking into the playoff if they go undefeated, Navy. Louisville, Georgia Tech.
Oh, here you go. Sorry. The season record is held by Malcolm Perry, also of the Navy, from 2019. He had 2,017 yards on 295 rushes.
This is what they do.
And then you got Georgia Southern, Ferris State, and Springfield.
There you go. I guess that makes sense of who would be doing that.
Ooh, that maybe now formerly UNLV quarterback. I think this is him. Last year, he had a game where he ran for 330 when he was playing for Holy Cross, second all-time.
Yes. He was the Holy Cross transfer. Okay, I do remember this kid's thing. Yeah, he's anyway, we'll get to that. Louisville, Georgia Tech. 31-19, Louisville beats a good Georgia Tech team. Back-to-back undefeated starts to the season for Louisville. That's interesting. We're going to keep an eye on Louisville moving forward. Missouri survived another scare. What's going on, Mizzou? Vandy in the house. You barely beat them 30-21 or 30-27. You got a 4th and 1 with the ball driving. You got 50 seconds left and 2 timeouts, and you end up punting. Missouri. Do you realize you're competing in the SEC with like 4 other teams in the top 10 right now? This isn't what you do. Game goes into overtime. You get a Vandy TD, you get a Missouri TD. Super easy. Missouri's a one-play TD too. They just tossed it up, got it right then. Missouri settles for a field goal because remember you get the ball in the second attempt. And how does this one end? A shanked field goal. So really, Missouri just basically escapes for the hair of their chinny chin chin as Vanderbilt nearly knocks them off at home. So Missouri, fraud watch is still on, buddy. Still on.
Yeah, I'm imagining they're going to cause a little bit of chaos. I don't think they're going to be winning a division or anything. I think they'll be causing some chaos here and there.
I think that's a fair read on it. I think they're competent. I think they're talented.
There's going to be a week or two where they light up someone who is better than them, but
yeah, they're competent and talented, but they don't feel like the winner of the SEC by a mile. And I think they'll probably still finish top 25 if they don't completely fall off.
But if they could just take out Bama for me, that'd be.
We'll talk about that one for sure. So BYU is going to crush the shit out of Kansas State, 38-9. This is the last one we're going to talk about for the Week 4 games. I think now that makes BYU the new favorite for the Big 12. I think on this podcast, we've only been through 4 weeks, and I've said a new Big 12 favorite each week. And I promise you, I'm not that stupid. It's just that's how much chaos this is.
Who's in that conference?
It's my favorite conference still, Patrick. And now that Texas is out of it, I think I love it more because my bias is so far removed that now I'm just excited to watch the chaos unfold unbiasedly, completely ready to let anything happen when I watch Big 12 football.
Of the Big 12 teams that have played a conference game, only 2 were members last year that have won a conference game. Now, to be fair, most of the other guys haven't played yet.
Yeah. They haven't really got into it.
Well, no, that's not true. There's only 2. It's only Iowa State and Arizona who haven't, obviously. So I just can't read. Yeah, so it looked like the newcomers all did well. BYU, Utah, UCF, Cincinnati.
Well, BYU's been there. BYU's been in the Big 12 for a little bit.
Last year? Did they join last year?
They've been in the Big 12 for like 4 years now.
BYU
No, that's not true.
It's been a couple years.
No, there's no way. They were independent not that long ago.
Dude, they've been here they were in the Big 12 for a bit. Yes.
Let me check that.
Jamie,
out.
look that up.
I'm gonna fact check this. Let's see. They joined the Big 12 in 2023.
Year. Yeah. Okay.
However,
exactly 5 years ago.
Yeah. However, to Bethke's credit, they were voted into the Big 12 in 2021.
That probably.
Oh, okay. I see where my brain confused everything. So yeah, that's what's going down. Basically, right. All the newcomers have taken over. All the people who said they were going to take over after Texas and Oklahoma ditched on them have not done that, actually. And that's notable and it's funny. Is there anything else for week 4? We are moving into just my notables for week 5, why I'm making them notable, and then we'll be wrapped up here. We're almost under an hour, as Patrick wanted us to be for the AI bot, right?
Under 2, but I will use the opportunity as a break before we get to the NFL stuff.
Even better.
And we might split NFL into 2, depending on how some of that goes.
Better. All right. Week 5. This is what we're watching. This is where we're probably going to have some dialogue. Let's keep it, whatever. We don't know everything.
We got time.
But we're going to talk about Fresno State UNLV. Not because this is a matchup we care about, but because we're interested
who's going to play for UNLV.
We're interested in how UNLV, an undefeated team, one of the teams that I probably would have naturally brought up as a playoff, team.
Dark horse, yeah.
Yeah, dark horse. But their quarterback dipped on them. Their running back just dipped on them. And who knows who else. And they're both citing the same reason.
Was the running back who dipped on them actually the guy who was playing?
That's not something I would know.
Okay.
I don't know that for facts. I know it's a kid using the rest of his season to redshirt is all I know. It's interesting because we want to know if there's a coup or if this is just one, maybe 2 players doing something. We have conflicting stories. Of course, UNLV is telling one side of the story. This kid's dad is telling another side of the story, essentially being promised $100,000 to go play football there, but instead has only received like $1,000 or some shit like that.
$3,000 is the last.
$3,000. Okay, I mean, that's contractually why this is the Wild Wild West.
He only got 1 carry in the last game.
Yeah, so this isn't a major player, but it is again another player.
He got 10 week 1 against Houston, and then
maybe he complained.
8 against. He only got 8 against whatever the heck UTU is. Utah Tech Trailblazers.
Oh.
A game they won 72-14. He only got 8 carries for 40 yards.
Ooh.
Yeah,
and then only 1 carry against Kansas.
So at least the running back's not an impactful player. Quarterback obviously very impactful. Question we have is, what does this show with the program? What does this mean for the future of college football? What is everything that happens in the NIL world is interesting now. And that's really where I want us to start kind of looking at. I think there's not a whole lot to dive in here because we don't know enough, but I wanted to bring it up because we're watching it now. Our eyes are on it. This is week 5, what we're watching. Boom. Number 1, UNLV. What the fuck's happening?
This was the major concern and the talking point back in the day whenever they were talking about, hey, the NCAA should split the television revenue with the athletes, cut a piece of the pie. Because the NIL world, it's unregulated. There's no anything and everything's happening.
Yeah. I mean, it's actually the Wild Wild West right now, contractually, legally.
So it looks like the guy who's going to start is Haj Malik Williams, I guess.
Haj Malik Williams.
Has he played anywhere else?
He has in a very small school. I don't remember the name of it.
Was he
He's
promised
a
an
senior.
NIL?
He's a redshirt transfer senior also.
From some like no name
Campbell,
Okay.
which I don't never heard of. So
All right. Well, fair enough. That's what we're watching. Moving into the other games, we'll go to our two teams. The Tulsa is going to be the first team to visit Fucksville, USA, aka Denton, Texas, from the AAC. Look, they've been talking down on our name. They're like, hey, back in the day, Florida Atlantic used to run these guys off. We're not worried about UNT. That's a different UNT, Caesar. We may still not be able to handle Texas Tech and the Big 12, that wild card program. But we're going to handle the AAC, and Tulsa's going to be the first one to find out. This is a good program, not a great program, a good program. Not really sure how good they are this year in particular, but it's a solid program. You got to expect them to have dudes. You have to expect this to be a one that we've got to go out and gut out a win. But I promise you, the Mean Green will be thriving on Saturday night. On another note, some other team that's happened to be ranked number one this last 2 weeks, they're going to play their first ever SEC football game. The Texas Longhorns are going to host the Mississippi State Bulldogs.
I love that Oklahoma got Tennessee, and we get Mississippi State. Not to say you don't want to look past anybody, but
it should be a favorable game for Texas once again.
It's not the
but
NFL either.
This isn't Dak Prescott's Bulldogs. Okay,
yeah. And this is a better talent pool for sure. So you're still getting pretty good players to play in the SEC, even if they're at Vanderbilt, even if they're at Mississippi State, whoever. Still getting really good talented players. The real question, of course, that we have for this game: Archie Boy or Quinny Boy?
I would assume Arch still. We got a bye week after, so.
And I think logically that's what you would want to do. But then there's the other argument, of course, of rust versus rest. And you have one of your most important games coming up after that bye week. Yes, you have harder games technically coming, but Oklahoma is a very, very important game. Just like A&M will be to end the season regardless of their ranking, this is a rivalry that is very, 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 very real and very, very, very chaotic. And even if we know one team is amazing and the other one's dog shit, you should not take that into much consideration when they actually step on the field. So I will be interested to see. I would like to see another Arch Manning game. I would like to live in a world where Quinn Ewers can just feel like he won't be rusty for one of the biggest games.
I'm trying to think what the exact quote. Here it is. According to NBC Sports, Sarkisian said this: Ewers has got to do enough to show me he can play. Can he execute the game plan? I want to make sure he's healthy enough to play at a high level, which is kind of a non-answer, but
Exactly. And that's why Sark is a great head coach. That's what we're going to be looking for. Other games that matter. Oklahoma State, Kansas State. We need somebody to represent the Big 12. Please, guys. Please, what are we doing here? Both of you are supposed to be, we're going to just run everything once Texas and Oklahoma are gone. Texas and Oklahoma can leave. Fuck them. We don't care. We're going to run the Big 12. You're not running shit, and you're both basically playing this game to eliminate the other because you both started off so piss poorly that this thing ain't going to turn around fast. So please, let's see who's real. This will be a part of the morning slate. Texas Mississippi State's part of the afternoon slate.
it looks like according to Orange Bloods, Quinn is 50-50 right now.
And honestly, that's why I do think
which is exactly the same as
I think football guy Quinn is going to play. That's where I think it's coming down.
But should he?
Should he? That's where the other conversation comes in. BYU Baylor in the early slot. Like I said, I'm pretty sure BYU is the actual Big 12 favorite now. Of course, go and pick someone else and bet on that now that I've said that. But Baylor will be a good chance to prove that. They'll have to go into McLean Stadium. Dave Aranda's offenses look not.
Oh,
Our defenses look
BYU is
not bad.
not the favorites.
Who's the favorite still right now?
I got Utah.
Utah's in the
UCF.
Big 12. Fuck, I forgot all about Utah being in the
Utah,
Big 12.
UCF, Iowa State, Kansas State, Oklahoma State,
This is so
Arizona,
hard
West
to
Virginia,
remember.
Texas Tech, then BYU.
No, that's not based off of. That's based off of them conference scheduling. That's a bad listing. But yes, there are at least 2 teams that matter with BYU. But I'm telling you, BYU is one of the best teams in the
It's
college.
just the Vegas Insider future odds. I don't know.
Oh, Vegas. No, Vegas is stupid. I don't trust them. They're just going off of how to rip people off. I'm watching football.
To some extent, but you're not going to put your favorite in the middle of the list.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
That is, I am actually to see that. And yes, Utah is absolutely the favorite. I fucking completely forgot Utah is a part of this too now.
That's what I was like when I was looking at the list. I was like, I don't even know what this conference is anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
I'm
You're
looking at the
Utah
conference
is definitely
standings.
The favorite.
Yeah,
The
dude,
only
look at these
team
conference
I-
standings. It's wild.
The only 2 teams I actually cared about are back with me in the SEC now. So sorry, Tech.
Yeah, no, that's really funny, but it's so. I'm glad you said that. So yeah, Baylor needs to respond to heartbreak. Dave Aranda's defense looked pretty good that they let the final play get to them. The offense goofed away the opportunity to close out the game. Can they steal this one from BYU and get into that Big 12 contender status? We will find out. Louisville, Notre Dame. I said it before. Louisville's good. They're 15 now. They're playing Notre Dame who's 16. Notre Dame sucks at throwing touchdowns. Literally, I think the quarterback still has not thrown a touchdown. Technically, I think other people have, but he hasn't on their team. And we know that Notre Dame loves to lose games, big games. They love to lose big games at home. All of these things could happen. So we're tuning into Louisville, Notre Dame. Also because, hey, if Notre Dame is as good as I think they are, I do think they are pretty good, then Louisville has a great chance to show us who they are. This game only matters locally, but we're going to talk about it because, we're going to talk about this dude a lot anyway. The Jerry Bowl is happening this weekend in Arlington. Arkansas is going to play Texas A&M. A&M's 24. Arkansas is not super good at all, but probably will still put a decent fight up against the Aggies. Aggies, again, starting a backup quarterback now. Not sure if they'll get the starter back and if they're going to end up who they're going to end up going with. So we're going to watch mostly just for that as well. But it's the Jerry game. If honestly, that's really, if there's one
They're
time
calling it a game time decision.
if there's with
Aggie QB.
When it comes to the current state of events that we'll get to, let's just say if there's one time that I wouldn't be mad at the A&M Aggies for putting an ass whooping out on the field, perhaps this could play into my alternative motives with the protein. If Jerry was to watch yet another complete slaughtering in his building that he paid for to happen, essentially, although he still makes a lot of money on all these things. Either way,
Isn't grandkid still there at Arkansas?
I'm sure.
No way, right?
And maybe there's one that he just recently found out about, and then he's also basically
she worked in the White House for Trump.
yeah. But did she go to Arkansas? Because honestly, I think at this point,
so.
if
I
you
could have
can
sworn one of
prove
his grandkids went to go
lineage-
play at Arkansas.
if you can prove lineage to Jerry Jones, you're just automatically admitted to Arkansas.
John Stephen Jones, I don't know if he actually graduated, but he's no longer involved with the football program as a player.
I see.
Okay.
Either way, we'll talk about them later. Ohio State, Michigan State. I told you, Sparty's back. They're not awful. They had a tough-ass turnaround, obviously. Fuck their head coach, their former head coach. They deserve to be in hell for hiring a guy like that. But it is nice to see a program get turned around fairly quickly and back to competency. Ohio State looks really good. This is a good, competent program in their building. This is going to be the first chance for Ohio State to prove to us who they are. Stanford, Clemson. Dabo Watch returns, slightly more competent team, but probably the same result. Dabo probably is going to kill Stanford. But we're always going to watch the downfall of Dabo, potentially. The 2 final games are the ones that matter, boys, and these are the ones that no matter who you're a fan of, you should probably record these, make some time to go see these games with your friends, whatever it is, because they're on at the same time. So you're probably going to want to be at a bar at somebody with multiple screens. We've got number 2 Georgia, number 4 Alabama. Kalen DeBoer is going to get his first chance at the king as he takes over for the former king, the former king, I guess, at this point. And then the Illinois Fighting Illini that I mentioned earlier, Brett Bielema's upstart Fighting Illini, are going to take on Penn State in Happy Valley. Penn State, we know, hey, they're a number 9 team. They've got a lot of talent. James Franklin's put together a great program. They've not gotten over the hump. Illinois isn't exactly the hump. If they win, people will tell them they were supposed to. But at the same time,
If they lose,
if you lose, that's exactly what we expect from Penn State, right?
yep, choking in the big
So-
games.
This is why I will be watching those 2 games as much as I possibly humanly can, even if I've got to go back and rewatch them after the fact, because those are probably going to be 2 of the most important games. Bama, Georgia is going to be amazing. I think both of those teams have a lot of talent, and even though DeBoer is taking over a restart program, you expect them to lose that game. It's Alabama. It's not like Saban left the cupboard bare. If anything, I think Saban intentionally may have left when he did for Kalen DeBoer to step in and handle what he's and take over Bama the way that a competent coach would to need to succeed someone as dominant as Saban. But that is college foosball. We will get back with week 5 next week. Now it's on to
Sorry,
professional
guys.
CTE ball.
I got distracted trying to find out what John Stephen Jones is doing nowadays, and I can't find anything about it.
Oh, I bet you I could find it.
It's,
He's probably
I did
lurking
not look
behind
at
his
the-
grandpa
I did
in a
not look
suit.
at the Cowboys employee roster. Oh shoot, I did this wrong. 1 second. Okay, so this is gonna be the end of college
This is
football,
the
just like
end.
he said. We're gonna end that
This is the
recording.
end.